All right, guys, welcome to the video here today for Wednesday, July 6, 2022. My name is Brock Page, and I do sports picks for free right here on YouTube. I also sell my personal sports bets on patreon.com/BrockPage. And I have packages on that site starting at just $1.99. And if you do sign up for my $1.99 package here today, you're actually going to get access to that package every single day all the way till August 1st. You'll get one of my personal bets every day during that whole time frame. And if you want to see my current sports betting record, you can actually do that for free by going to the homepage right now. And with that, guys, let's go. Actually, real quick, if you want access to that $1.99 daily best play, the link for that bet is in the description section below. And with that, let's go ahead and dive into some free content. We're going to take a look at the Guardians taking on the Tigers, 1:10 Eastern first pitch. Now, Cleveland's minus 170, total 7.5 runs. Shane Bieber for Cleveland, Michael Pineda for Detroit. And even though Pineda's got a pretty good ERA, he's garnered himself just one victory on the season through limited action. The Tigers also can't hit for shit. They're dead last in homers, dead last in scoring. As a matter of fact, the Tigers are being held to less than 3.3 runs a game this year. They're also taking on Shane Bieber, who's thrown some really good stuff this season. The Biebs has 93 strikeouts in just 91 innings. He's also got a 3.16 ERA and a 1.16 whip. And even if he ends up blowing chunks, who's writing this shit? The Guardians lineup, they do a terrific job of making contact with the baseball. These guys have the fewest strikeouts per game in the major leagues, and they're led by Jose Ramirez, who's fourth in the bigs in RBI. Now, real quick, Jose is also in the top 10 in OPS as well. Figured I would, note that. But anyway, total-wise, Cleveland went 7-3 to the under in their last 10. Meanwhile, the Tigers are 61% to the under in their divisional ball games. I'm going to lean toward Cleveland minus 170 and the under 7.5. Next matchup, it is going to be Twins, White Sox, 2:10 Eastern first pitch. Chicago's minus $1.20, totals 8.5. Lance Lynn for the White Sox, Joe Ryan from Minnesota. Now, Ryan's had a real good first half of the season. The righty's 6-3 with an ERA of 3 flat. Ryan's also got a solid 1.05 whip. He's also backed by a Minnesota lineup who can certainly hit for shit. They can hit for shit. These guys are in the top 10 in team batting average, top 10 in homers. Byron Buxton's the club leader in home runs with 22 of them. Meanwhile, Luis Arias is the league leader in batting average as he's hitting 346. Now, they're taking on a White Sox club who plays their worst baseball in their own stadium. These guys are just 16-23 at Guaranteed Rate Field, and their runners are having a tough time getting across the plate. Chicago's in the bottom 10 in runs per contest, bottom 5 in home runs as well. They also have Lance Lynn on the bump here today, who's got a 4.50 ERA through 22 innings of work. When it comes to the totals, 7 out of the Sox last 10 meetings with the Twins did get over the numbers. So if you're into historical trends, certainly want to think about that one there. Now, they're also 15-9 to the over against divisional opponents. Meanwhile, the Twins on the other side of things, they're averaging just about 5 runs a game in their last 10 meetings with Chicago. So going back to that head-to-head matchup there, that head-to-head stat. But anyway, I'm going to lean toward Minnesota plus $1 in the over 8.5. Next matchup, Cubs, Brewers, 2:10 p.m. East. Milwaukee's minus 250, totals 8 runs. Corbin Burns for Milwaukee. Adrian Sampson for Chicago. And even though Sampson's looked pretty strong in his brief 16 innings of work, he's still yet to get his first win of the season. Now, the Cubbies are also 15 games below 500 already, and their hitters are striking out just way too much. These guys are actually in the bottom 10 in the majors in strikeouts per game at the dish. They're also taking on Corbin Burns, who's a strikeout machine. The righty's punched out 124 batters already and also has 7 wins on the year. Now, Burns currently has a 2.36 ERA and a .92 whip. He's also backed by a Milwaukee lineup who can certainly hit the long ball. Rowdy Tellez and Willy Adames, they have 33 home runs between the two of them. Tellez actually is the club leader in home run and RBI right now. And did I say home run as in singular? He's the club leader in home runs and RBI. Anyway, total very early in the morning. I'm a little like punch drunk. I'm not drunk with alcohol. I'm a little punchy because I've been up for so long. But anyway, total-wise, the Cubbies are averaging less than 3.8 runs a game in their last 10 meetings with the Brewers. So I'm going to lean toward Milwaukee minus 1.5 and the under 8 runs in that tight window. Next game, Blue Jays Athletics, 337 East. Toronto's minus 185, totals 8. Jose Barrios for Toronto, James Caprillion for Oakland. Now, Caps has been a bit of a buffoon this year on the mound. He's got just 1 win through 58 innings and an ERA well above 5. He's also backed by an Oakland lineup who, well, gotta say it again, they can't hit for shit. They're dead last in team batting average, and they're scoring only 3.2 runs a game. They also have to face Jose Barrios, who's still 6-4 on the year despite a few shaky outings. And even if he does end up pitching like an idiot, he still has a really powerful lineup behind him. Alejandro Kirk, he's the team leader in batting average. Meanwhile, Vladdy's got 19 home runs and 53 RBI. And if you don't know who Vladdy is, you don't know baseball. That's Vlad Guerrero Jr. Anyway, no real surprise here, guys. The Jays are in the top 3 in team OPS. Now, total-wise, the A's went 7-3 to the under in their last 10. They're also 22-16 to the under at the Coliseum. I'm going to lean toward Toronto minus 1.5, under 8. Next ball game, Mets Reds, 6:40 p.m. East. The New York Mets are minus 165, totals 9.5. David Peterson for New York, Graham Ashcraft for Cincinnati. Now, Ashcraft's kind of let his ERA slip above the 450 mark. Meanwhile, as a team, the Reds dropped 5 out of their last 7. And they played some pretty bad baseball at home. Out of Cincy's 40 contests at the Great American Ballpark, they got the W only 14 times. They're also taking on David Peterson, who's having a really strong year. The lefty's 5-1 with a 3.24 ERA. He's also averaging over a strikeout an inning. Now, when it comes to hitting the baseball, there's really not many teams in the National League right now who are doing it better than the Mets. These guys are averaging nearly 5 runs a game, and they also rank in the top 5 in team batting average. Jeff McNeil's hitting .319 at the dish. He's 5th in the majors in that category. Meanwhile, Pete Alonso has 22 home runs, and he leads the bigs in RBI with 69. Now, when it comes to the number, New York's 24-18 at the over on the road. Meanwhile, Cincinnati went 60% to the over in their last 10 themselves. I'm going to lean toward the New York Mets minus 165 and the over 9.5. Next ball game, Angels Marlins, 6:40 p.m. East. The LA Angels are minus 175, total 7. Shohei Ohtani for the Angels, Trevor Rogers for Miami. And even though Rogers has been getting knocked around a bit, he still has 62 strikeouts on the year. Marlins also play winning baseball at Lone Depot Park. These guys are 4 games over 500 at home. And they're led by Garrett Cooper, who's hitting .315 at the plate. And even though Shohei's been really good on the mound here this year, the Angels as a team are playing some pretty bad baseball. They're currently on a 4-game skid, and they scored just 5 total runs during that stretch. And speaking of offensive woes, the Angels are striking out more times per game than any other team in the majors right now. And when it comes to the total, 7 out of LA's last 10 outings fell under the number. Meanwhile, Miami went 70% to the under in their last 10 themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Marlins plus 1.5 and the under 7. Next ball game, Yankees Pirates 7:05 East. New York's minus 240, totals 9. Luis Severino for the Bombers, Mitch Keller for Pittsburgh. Now, Keller's been of little help here to the Buccos this season. He's got only 2 wins in 70 innings pitched and an ERA above 5. Meanwhile, this Pirates lineup, well, yeah, you guessed it. They can't hit for shit. They're in the bottom 3 in team batting average, bottom 3 in scoring. We really got to stop saying that. Anyway, they're also going to have their hands full here with Luis Severino, who's still a strikeout machine. Luis got 91 Ks in just 78 innings, along with a 1.05 whip. Now, these guys are also the best scoring team in the American League. Aaron Judge has a league-leading 29 home runs, along with 60 RBI. Meanwhile, Anthony Rizzo and Giancarlo Stanton, they've combined for 42 home runs between the two of them. Now, total-wise, the Yanks are 22-16 to the under while traveling. They also went 80% to the under in their last 10 ball games at any location. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh's 24-18 to the under at PNC Park. I'm going to lean toward the Yankees minus 1.5 and the under 9. Next contest, Rangers-Orioles, 7:05 Eastern start time. Texas is minus $1.20, totals 9.5. Glenn Otto for the Rangers, Spencer Watkins for Baltimore. And even though Spence does find himself in trouble often, the righty suffered only 1 loss through 41 innings. So he's not costing his team all that much. The O's are also on a 3-game winning streak, and they amassed 20 total runs in the process. Anthony Santander, he's the club leader in homers with 15 of them. Meanwhile, Austin Hayes is leading the team in runs batted in. Now they're taking on Glenn Otto, who's gotten himself into trouble quite often. He nearly has many walks as strikeouts, and his ERA is up to 5.63. Now, total-wise, Baltimore went 60% to the under in their last 10 ball games. Meanwhile, the Rangers went 23-19 to the under on the road. I'm going to lean toward Baltimore plus $1, under 9.5. Next contest, Nats-Phils, 7:05 East. Philadelphia's minus 225, totals 8 runs. Aaron Nola for the Titans, Josiah Gray for Washington. And even though Gray does have himself a winning record, he does have an ERA above 4, so he can get himself in trouble. The Nats are also on a 6-game losing streak, and they simply don't score a whole lot of runs. And as a matter of fact, these guys are in the bottom 5 in the league right now in runs per game. They're taking on a Philly team on the other side who loves to score themselves. Philly's actually got themselves in the top 3 in the bigs in runs per contest right now. Of course, Kyle Schwarber, he's 3rd in the bigs in home runs with 25. Meanwhile, Rhys Hoskins, he has 35 extra base hits on the year. And I'll tell you this much, with the way Aaron Nola's been pitching this year, the Phils probably aren't going to need a whole lot of runs to get the W. Nola's got 117 strikeouts already, along with a .92 whip. When it comes to the total in this one, 8 out of these teams' last 10 head-to-head meetings got over the number. So once again, if you're into historical trends, plenty of overs to go around. The Phils actually averaged over 7 runs a game in those meetings I just mentioned. Meanwhile, the Nats on the other side, they are 63% to the over when they travel. I'm going to lean toward Philadelphia, minus 1.5, and the over 8 runs. Next contest, Rays, Red Sox, 7:10 East. Boston's minus 135, totals 9. Brian Bello making his debut for Boston. Corey Kluber for Tampa Bay. And even though the wins aren't there for Klubs, he still has an ERA in the 3s, along with a 1.16 whip. So pretty good numbers out of Kluber, even though the wins aren't there. Now the Rays have also won 4 out of their last 5. And that includes a 4-run victory over Boston just last night. Now they're taking on a Red Sox team who lost 5 out of their last 8 themselves. When it comes to the total, Boston went 70% to the under in their divisional home games. Meanwhile, Tampa Bay is 19-13 to the under against the AL East themselves. I'm going to lean toward Tampa Bay plus $1.15 in the under 9. Next contest, Cardinals Braves, 7:20 p.m. East. Atlanta's minus $1.80, totals 8.5. Max Fried for the Braves, Miles Michaelis for St. Louis. Now, Michaelis has thrown some really good stuff. He's got a 2.61 ERA along with a sub-1 whip. And even though the Cards are in a bit of a slump, they can still be quite dangerous at the dish. They're in the top 10 in team batting average, and they're actually amongst the best scoring teams in the National League. Paul Goldschmidt's hitting .340 with 65 RBI and a 1.040 OPS. He's actually in the top 3 in the majors in all 3 of those categories I just mentioned. That's batting average, RBI, and OPS. Now, St. Louis is taking on a Braves team who's struggled covering the run line at home. They're just 18-25 against the number at Truist Park, and that's good for just 41% in that category. These Braves hitters also strike out an awful lot. They're nearly dead last in the league in strikeouts per game at the plate. Now, total-wise, Atlanta's gone 24-19 to the over in front of their own fans. I'm going to lean towards St. Louis plus 1.5 in the over 8.5. Next contest, Royals Astros, 8:10 Eastern first pitch. Houston's minus 270, totals 8.5. Christian Javier for Houston, Brad Keller for Kansas City. Now, I'll tell you what, nothing good happens when Keller pitches. He's just 3-9 with an ERA above 4. He's also backed by a Royals lineup who can't hit very good. They're in the bottom 5 in runs per contest, and they've hit fewer home runs than most teams in the American League. They're also taking on Christian Javier, who does nothing but strike batters out. The righty's got 95 strikeouts in 69-plus innings. He's also 6-3 with a 2.58 ERA and a .96 whip. And in addition to winning 8 straight, the red-hot Astros are amongst the best home run hitting teams in the game. Yordan Alvarez has 25 bombs and 58 RBI. He's also leading the bigs right now in OPS. When it comes to the total on this one, oddly enough, Houston's gone 22-15 to the under at Minute Maid Park. I'm going to lean toward Houston minus 1.5 in the under 8.5. Next contest, Giants D-backs, 9:40 p.m. East. San Francisco's minus $1.25, totals 8.5. Alex Cobb for San Francisco, Merrill Kelly for Arizona. Now, Kelly's been one of the few bright spots here for the D-backs. He's got 7 wins on the season already, along with a 3.46 ERA. Now, Arizona also won 5 out of their last 8. And that includes 2 victories against San Francisco in this very series. And speaking of the Giants, they played some really bad baseball recently. They're on a 6-game losing streak. They also averaged only 2.3 runs a game during that span. They also have Alex Cobb on the mound here today, who's got a 4.59 ERA and a 1.37 whip. When it comes to the total in this one, the Diamondbacks are 13-4 to the under in their divisional home games. And just for reference purpose, that's 76% in that category. 76% to the under in divisional home games. So I'm going to lean toward Arizona plus 105 and the under 8.5. With that, guys, now it's time for our next and final breakdown for the video. It is going to be Rockies taking on the Dodgers, 10:10 Eastern first pitch. The LA Dodgers are minus 310, totals 9. Tony Gonsolin for Los Angeles, Jose Urena or Antonio Senzatella for Colorado. Neither pitcher yet confirmed, but it's narrowed down to those 2 guys. But either way, regardless of who starts for the Rockies, they really stink on the road. They stink like, well, you know, the word I've been saying a lot lately. They stink like poop. The Rockies are just 12-24 straight up while traveling, and they simply can't score away from Denver. They're also taking on Tony Gonsolin for the Dodgers, who's been near perfect. I mean, it's about as perfect as it gets. He's 10-0 on the year with a 1.54 ERA and a .82 WHIP. And even if Tony ain't perfect today, he's still backed by a Dodger lineup who lead the bigs in scoring and OPS. Trey Turner's batting a team-leading .307 with 59 runs batted in. Meanwhile, Mookie Betts leads the club in homers with 18 of them. And when it comes to the total, 8 out of LA's last 10 ball games fell under the number. Meanwhile, Colorado saw 3 out of their last 4 on the road fall under the total themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Dodgers -1.5 and the under 9 runs. And with that, guys, now it's time for our quick pick recap. Powered to you by my website at patreon.com/BrockPage. Where I have packages on that site starting at just $1.99. I like Cleveland -170, under 7.5. Give me Minnesota +$1, over 8.5. I like Milwaukee -1.5, under 8. Give me Toronto -1.5, under 8 runs. I like the Mets -165, over 9.5. Give me Miami +1.5, under 7. I like the Yankees -1.5, under 9. Give me Baltimore +$1, under 9.5. Philadelphia -1.5, over 8 runs. Tampa Bay +$1.15, under 9. St. Louis +1.5, over 8.5. Houston -1.5, under 8.5 runs. Arizona +105, under 8.5. And with my next and final free pick for the video, I'm going to lean toward the Dodgers -1.5 and the under 9 runs. And with that, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on my website. Now, if you guys do end up getting a membership here today on patreon.com/BrockPage, just keep in mind you're going to get billed the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. So if you do end up getting a membership here today, you're going to get access to that package every single day all the way till August 1st. I always tell folks in every single video, the earlier in the month you sign up, the better. And guys, if you want to get access to every single bet, every single package, every single day, you're going to want to sign up for my board member package. It's an all-inclusive membership. Now, you may be wondering what the difference is between what I do here on YouTube and what I do on my website. Well, what I do here on YouTube is I'll handicap the entire slate of games in any given sport, side and total. And what I do on patreon.com/BrockPage is actually share with you which one of these free YouTube picks on my channel that I'm actually betting on personally. But most importantly, guys, gotta thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. With that said, guys, happy Wednesday to you. Happy hump day to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage.